Well, it's early June the 6th today, and I was thinking about running the trap in the confines of the garden, which is looking rather splendid behind me. But despite the favourable conditions, I'm not going to trap here. You may be able to hear why further up the street, plus somebody else has got a bonfire heavily disguised as a barbecue. So from time to time there's smoke drifting across the garden, but it's the general overall noise that warrants me leaving the confines of this nice garden and head for somewhere else. Not sure entirely where yet, but it might just be a quick couple of hours up at Lound Wood. It looks promising conditions, temperatures are going to remain in double figures, and it's going to be a lot quieter. Let's look at the skylarks here. There's several birds singing, one high up in front of us, then there's a couple behind and one over to the right. This is Lound Wood that you're looking at. I'm at the entrance to the field deciding where to trap. Lound Wood Annex is to the right, and this, as you'll know, is one of my favourite places to trap. Temperature is forecasted to stay into double figures, and I think it'll only just stay in double figures. It may go just under at a site like this. So I think we head that way up the line of the hedgerow on the left hand side, once I've opened the gate of course, and we get set up. Well, I've set up just outside Lound Wood in my usual spot. I did contemplate just going inside Lound Wood because there's a little bit of a breeze, and that breeze feels a little bit cool and maybe slightly damp. That might be just because of the showers that's been around, but they don't forecast any breeze of note, only about 5 mile an hour breeze this evening. And the sky is forecasted to be cloudy. At the moment it's only thin cloud. I don't think we'll have any trouble with rain. It's a very attractive sky. Some of it's almost blue as the showers start to die out. So I think I'll trap in the normal spot here. Hopefully we'll get a few moths coming up this way to the light and also along the hedge which I've driven along to get here. But I'm sure that the temperature will very quickly be around the 10 mark and probably just below. I think it might even be that at startup, so we'll see what comes in. I'm planning on this just being a couple of hours sort of grab raid, so to speak, a quick selection or sampling of the moths here, but we'll see what turns up. Well, an executive decision has been made, and I've moved the trapping gear and set up into the entrance here at Lound Wood. I know that if I'd have stayed outside, I would be moaning about that cool breeze, that isn't here. Also means it's darker here and I can start the light earlier. So June the 6th, we're off and running at Lound Wood. Well, I've been to the entrance to Lound Wood and I'm glad that I've moved into here and decided to trap here, because there's a big difference. There's still quite a persistent breeze and it feels considerably cooler. And I think I've gained at least 2 degrees milder temperature by trapping here inside Lound Wood. I'm only just inside the entrance and it's paid off. Decent number of moths are coming in nice and steady as the sky darkens. More species are starting to come in. Commonest of those that are in at the moment is green oak Tortrix, and as the name implies, it is associated with oaks, of course, but there's a lot flying around the lower vegetation. It's a very attractive moth, beautiful sort of bright lime green colour and quite unmistakable really. The only species you could mistake it with is green bordered green pea, which is the same size and yet one's a micro and one's a macro, the macro being green bordered green pea. We won't be trapping one of those tonight. Probably the best or most unusual moth that's come in so far, and some of you may moan at this, is garden carpet. It's not a species ever really trapped a great deal away from home. Had the odd one here at Lound Wood before, so nice to see one of those come in. And it is at the moment pretty routine fare which is coming in, but the important thing is that moths are indeed coming in to the light. Much better in here, much more pleasant for me and better for the moths too. Now I was hoping that this moth would land nicely on the sheet and open its wings and sit there while I could talk about it, but it settled on this dandelion leaf, and if I go to light it up to show it at its best, the dandelion leaf just sort of whites everything out. But this is a barred yellow. It's one of my favourite species, and thankfully it's common. You'll get this in suburban and even urban areas as long as there's some sort of degrees of shrubbery and hedgerow. But it's the most beautiful thing, it really is. This one's very fresh, they're just on the wing now here in Nottinghamshire, and it's always a moth I like to see. Absolutely stunningly beautiful. It's a different, more golden yellow than brimstone. Brimstone is more sulphur yellow. This is very different. It's a beautiful moth. And so thankfully it's common, will turn up at your trap at home at some time. So that's a nice one, a new one for the year, and one of a number of moths that are coming in now. Well, I need to update the Tortrix viridana or green oak Tortrix count because there's more than 25. But we're on to 30 species now. In fact, you can see green oak Tortrix at the top of the screen, or 2 now, and the third just walking in. Lots of them coming in. So, nothing unusual. Ingrailed clay was the last of the macros in and had rivulet and angle shades too. There's another green oak Tortrix joins the fray. So a very pleasant session so far. The light emerald just come in, that's a second one to add. Lots of activity on the sheet and around the light, but it's mostly all green oak Tortrix. Well, because there's so many on the sheet, an ever increasing number of Tortrix viridana, the green oak Tortrix, well, I thought I might as well at least show you one of the many that are in. And you can see what a beautiful green moth this is. Everything that you can see obviously is green. The thorax and the head is green and the forewings are green. Very, very nice indeed. And it's a beautiful, say almost a bright lime green colour. Very attractive moth. And this is certainly one particular micro moth which nobody should shy away from identifying. It's a beautiful little thing, and nice to see in good numbers here on the sheet. I'm going to have a count up, because there are a lot more than what I've got written down. Well, while it's generally quiet in terms of variety, I thought we'd have a look at this. This is a snout, quite a distinctly triangular shaped moth, and very common too. You will trap this in a suburban garden. I get it fairly regular, but not in any numbers. In my experience and mine and Dillis's experience over the years, this is a moth of more rural sites, and certainly we've had some good counts of these at Sherwood Forest and at Eakring. It's two brooded. The second brood is usually more populated than the first brood, and they're usually slightly smaller too, but it's an attractive moth, generally brown, but two darker cross lines across the moth. And I say this is a common species across the UK and named after those long palps. This one may well have one missing, I can't quite see from here, and that derives the moth's name of snout. Well, some different moths are starting to appear, and among them are these two moths which are in the pots. Two pots, but one species, and it's a species which, well, it must be fond of me, because I think I've got probably 3/4 of the county's recent records. It's Loquetia labella. It's not a particularly exciting moth, but it's rare. At least no one's reporting it. But I know Phil Lee had it in his garden a number of years ago up at Misterton. Dillis and myself recorded it here at Lound a number of years ago, and we had it twice at home, including just the other night when I trapped on, I think it was the 28th of May. And now two more here at Lound Wood. I think it must be increasing, because we never used to get Loquetia labella here. But it's a grey moth, depending on age and where. It can be quite dark grey, and the most interesting thing about it is that it has several tufts of long scales on the wings. It's very easy to identify, but it's just nice that two more have turned up. Of other moths recently that have come in, two scorch wings have just turned up, and a plain golden wide too. Both very attractive moths. A scorched wing, when you first see a scorched wing, you'll be stunned if you've never trapped one. Fabulous moth, and the patterns on the wings to me look as though the moth's vibrating the wings incredibly quickly. It's a beautiful thing. There's been a pale tussock and say green pug, but it's really a sort of last quarter of an hour that a few more interesting moths have started to come in. Let's hope that continues and I can see myself staying here for longer than my expected 2 hours. So all's good, and all requires a cup of tea. It just so happens I have one here. Well, there's no mistake in this particular species. This is a scorched wing, one of several which have come in now and have eventually settled down on the sheet. But although it's perfectly still, the patterning on the wings of scorched wings, to me at least, makes the moth seem as though it's vibrating its wings incredibly quickly, and that the patterning is just a blur, but it isn't. Fabulous coloration and markings, and the darker colours are a sort of deep plum to purplish colour. It's a very, very attractive moth, and another moth which is one of my favourites. I absolutely love these. So that's one of a number of scorched wings that are in amongst the Tortrix. Well, 3 hours are up. Don't know where they've gone, but they never do. I tend to get lost in what I'm doing during trapping, and that's why I like to trap alone. People might call it antisocial, but I'm not the only one. It means that I can concentrate on what's coming in. If there's 2 or more people, it tends to be a conversation and you miss things. But what a great night it has been. Really has. Nothing particularly unusual or rare. A pale oak beauty has just dropped in. Doesn't seem that many years ago since Dillis and I caught Nottinghamshire's first for over 100 years. And then I had one at home as well, which added a new species to the garden list. So we'll start and pack up, keep checking, see what species are coming in, whether I've missed anything as I pack up, and then we head for home.